Welcome to our Ore Mineral Identification Lab. This is our last mineral lab. And I have a couple pictures of ore minerals here. The one on the left is known as Boronite or peacock ore because of the brilliant colors. And this is actually not a mineral that we have in our lab, but it is a very pretty one. And I wanted to show it to you because I want to emphasize that most of these ore minerals that we're going to look at are not silicate minerals. So the formula for this particular mineral is a copper iron sulfide. And most of these minerals that are ores are sulfides. And this particular one, boronite, is a source of copper and iron. The next one over on the right is a very beautiful blue and some green minerals in there as well. And these are azurite and malachite. They often occur together. The azurite is the blue part and the malachite is the green part. The chemical formula for azurite is shown here, and for malachite is here. And you can see that they're quite similar. They're both copper carbonates with some OH on them. If you were in class, you might get the blue one or the green one or both, or a mixture of the two in a single sample. So here's the first page of the lab after the page of description. And you can see we have, once again, a set of minerals in alphabetical order, and I'm going to go over what each of these look like. The pre-lab questions are here. Which of these minerals are metallic? Which of these minerals has a hardness less than 5? Which of these minerals contains sulfur, which is a large portion of them? And which of these minerals tend to have a cubic form? So you can look each of these questions up in the back of your lab manual inside of the mineral identification charts. There is one mineral that we have to change in the list, and that is the mineral called chrysocolla. That has been removed and replaced with copper. Copper is a lot easier to identify than chrysocolla, so that's good. So I'll have the word copper placed over chrysocolla throughout this instructional video. So let's blow up this alphabetical list here and look at each of these. We're just going to go down the list. Remember, this is alphabetical. This is not the order 33 to 45 of the minerals. So azurite and malachite are the first two, and they're listed together because of the reason I just showed you, that they often occur together. Although I went and found some pictures of azurite by itself, beautiful blue azurite crystals, and malachite by itself as well. So remember that these minerals have their own color. Their streaks are the same color as their mineral, and because they're carbonates, they do actually have a slight reaction to hydrochloric acid. Remember that each of these are going to be filled out on your tables. So let's say that that particular one was number 38. So you're going to list the hardness, the luster, the color, the streak. If there's a specimen structure, if there's a cleavage, you can forget about the heft unless it's mentioned in the video. And if there's any miscellaneous properties, you can list them here and then the name and the chemical formula. So just like we've been doing throughout the semester. The next mineral in the alphabetical list is barite. And barite is unusual among the ore minerals because it is white in color. Most of the ore minerals are dark colored or some sort of green or blue or red. And so not only is it white, but it also has a high specific gravity. Remember that specific gravity is the way that geologists describe the density of a mineral. And if it's 1, that means it has the same density of water. Most rocks have a specific gravity of around 3 because most minerals have a specific gravity of about 3, meaning they're 3 times as dense as water. So once you go over 3, you've got minerals that are pretty heavy. They're hefty. And so this one is pretty heavy, pretty dense, I should say, considering it's a white colored mineral, especially. It's kind of unexpected. The next mineral is bauxite, and bauxite is not even a mineral. Really, it's actually a sedimentary rock, and it's an ore of aluminum. Most of our aluminum comes from bauxite. It has these very distinct spherical concretions, if you want to call them that, and that is the bauxite itself. The surrounding material is the rock. So this is where the aluminum is, and this is very distinct. There are no other ore minerals in this lab that have this kind of appearance. So this should be pretty straightforward to be able to identify. We then move on to calcopyrite. And calcopyrite, like pyrite, which is down here, is a metallic mineral that looks very much like gold. They call them fool's gold. So chalcopyrite and pyrite are a bit difficult to tell from each other. The one thing is that chalcopyrite is softer than pyrite, and it has a little more of a tarnished luster than pyrite. They both look brassy, but chalcopyrite has a little bit more of what looks like an oxidation to it. This particular mineral also has a green-black streak, which is very different from its brassy color. Here's some boronite, which was that peacock ore, and chalcopyrite. And the chalcopyrite are these brassy bits here and there, and all the beautiful blue and purples are the boronite. Next, we move on to copper. Copper has that very unique pinkish color. I'm not sure if you would call it pink or salmon or orange, but it has a very distinct color among the ores. Copper oxidizes to a green color, as you can tell when you look at the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty used to be, well, it's made of copper, and it used to be copper colored. It is now green because that copper has oxidized. Next, we move on to galena, which we've seen before. Galena is a very interesting mineral because it's very, very dense, has a very high specific gravity. In fact, the highest of any that we'll see in lab, something on the order of a 7 to 8. It's cubic, and it has a very silvery black color and a silvery black streak. We then move on to graphite, which is the stuff that's inside your pencils. And it has a greasy luster. It looks kind of greasy. It's very soft. Obviously, if you can drag it across your paper and make a streak, then it's pretty soft. And the streak tends to be gray. I think you know what color a pencil is. Then we come to hematite, which we've seen in several other mineral groups. Hematite, in this case, we have a banded iron formation. We also have an oolitic hematite over here. The key to hematite is that red streak. It is very unique. So the mineral itself can vary in color from red to a very, very deep red. It also has a high specific gravity. It's an iron oxide. It's very heavy because of the iron. The red streak is really the way to identify it. We then have siloameline, and this is a very unusual mineral. It is dark gray. The streak is dark gray, but it has this very bulbous appearance. Like, I don't know how to describe these bulbs, or almost a bubble-like nature to some of its crystals. Now, the one you're going to see in the video has some of these bulbous characteristics. There's another part of it that doesn't. The person that's showing it to you kind of points this out. So that's siloameline. Pyrite, fool's gold again. These are very gem quality, beautiful examples here. But it has a cubic nature with striations, which are these streaky lines. And it also appears as dodecahedrons. So pyrite's a bit interesting because it also fools geologists. It has two different crystal forms. Remember, a dodecahedron has 12 sides. It's a brassy color, and its streak is not brassy but black. Sphalerite is interesting because it is glassy. It is not like the rest of these ore minerals I just showed you, which were opaque. Here's a great example right here of one. These are all within a rock or an ore, so not everything you see here is sphalerite, but these greenish yellow looking crystals are. They're dodecahedrons, so again they have 12 sides, and because they have 12 sides, they have 6 directions of cleavage. Because they're sulfides, when you scratch them on the streak plate, the smell of them actually can be the sulfide smell of rotten eggs, and so they can exhibit an odor that's a little bit stinky when you scratch them on a streak plate. The key to these guys is that they're glassy. They are not metallic. Then we get to stibnite. This is probably my favorite in this whole group. This is a beautiful museum specimen. I'm sorry, yours is not going to look like this. But they make these beautiful blades. They have a high specific gravity. This is what they look like when they form inside of a rock. And they are quite soft compared to many of the other minerals that we're looking at in this group. Finally, we get to sulfur. And I've even circled sulfur with a yellowish color because the diagnostic key to identifying sulfur is that it's yellow. Here is some sulfur at a fumarole. where hot springs are depositing sulfur on the surface. And if you've ever smelled hot springs, they do indeed smell like rotten eggs. So they definitely have a distinct odor. Here is someone carrying pieces of sulfur. They're actually a sulfur miner in Indonesia. So you can see that bright yellow color. And this is created by a volcano that's quite active in Indonesia. So yellow color, yellow streak, and distinct odor. And that's it. Then you're going to finish up with the post-lab questions. And please notice that there is a question that asks you to finish this table here. For some reason, students seem to miss this table. Maybe because most of our post-labs don't have a table like this. But please make sure you complete this table. You're going to indicate in this column which of the ore minerals in lab provide iron, aluminum, copper, lead, zinc, antimony, and barium. And so that's just going to be looking at their chemical formulas. You'll be able to figure that out quite easily. Okay, enjoy your last mineral lab.